Hey, welcome back to the Living ABSD podcast. I'm your host, ABSD. You can call me AB for short. I use they, them pronouns, and I am so excited today to have a dear friend of mine here in the podcast space to hear your story, Caitlin, and to get to have your unique light shined on the way that you view the world and create curiosity and perspective through that. So I would love to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself before we get started.
Sure. Hi, I'm Caitlin with the C. I currently am most focused on my little business that I'm calling Caitlin with the C Healing Connections, which as of 2 weeks ago is now officially my primary form of income and it's the way of self-employment, mostly through therapy private practice. I've been a therapist for about 7 years now, and finally taking that leap to be my own brand and do my own little thing as a therapist. And that feels a lot of different things. But yeah, I think that's who I am and where I'm at right now in a nutshell.
It's a fucking huge leap, and I'm so proud of you for doing it and for navigating all of the pieces that come through of dancing your sacred dance out in the world. It's amazing.
Yeah.
As we get started, we'll take 3 grounding breaths together, and the invitation for you listening is to also breathe with us. The invitation is to close your eyes, but if you're driving a car, don't close your eyes. All right, let's breathe. I call upon our divine spirit teams and guides and any energy that vibrates at divine love or higher that wishes to enter into this podcasting space with us today. I ask that this podcast find all who is meant to find it at the right, divinely timed moment where this information and curiosity can percolate into growth in some form or facet. I ask for connection and fun and playfulness as we are in this dialogue together and navigating the truths and the pieces that bring us light. And so it is.
Hi.
Hi. I love to start this space with the same question. And I am curious to hear about, have there been any key turning points or breakthroughs for you as you've been navigating your journey and healing?
Yes. Major plot twist of this year, which is 2025. I think along my healing journey in the past couple of years, as I have become more comfortable with my own power and discovering and coming into full realization that I'm a powerful manifester and have pretty strong intuition, is just trusting my gut and following the energy where the energy is flowing. So around the springtime of this year, for the first time ever in my career as a therapist, I arrived at this place where previously I had a lot of mental barriers and just nothing around me was saying to do private practice, and I actively resisted it for a long time, even when others would suggest that to me. And around the springtime, the thoughts were centering around the fact that some of the barriers, for example, were, I need leadership, I need supervision, I appreciate having a support network for when things are hard or confusing. As a therapist, there sometimes are moments as a therapist where I'm feeling a little bit stuck with this client, or just things come up in the therapeutic relationship that it can be helpful to have leadership as part of an organization or a supervisor to talk those through with and get some ideas for how to move forward. And I came to a realization in the spring that, at least in the place where I was working previously, I didn't really need that support anymore. In fact, others were coming to me for that support way more frequently than I was going to others for that support. So the mental block of I'm not ready was just not there anymore. I totally am ready. Then the logistical barriers came up of, well, how do I do this as a therapist? I prefer to facilitate sessions in person. That costs money to find a space to facilitate therapy sessions in person. So I began a journey of manifesting this happening a year from then. So like May of 2026 was what I started saying out loud and telling people, like, I am going to be fully in my own private practice by May or June of 2026. And I got to about July of 2025 and was like, okay, well, if that's the plan, then I maybe need to start asking some questions and getting some connections out in the world for where this space is going to be. And I had this one ideal space in my mind that was introduced to me by the universe about a year and a half prior to that. And I just walked into that space and I said, I need a phone number so I can talk to someone and maybe get on a list to see what is the possibility of me being in this ideal space. And I got the phone number, I made the call, and the space is available now. They said, do you want it? And I was like, okay, universe, are we doing this right now?
What?
And had some conversations with some people, and ultimately everything going on energetically for me and astrologically, not only in, around July of 2025, but sort of the astrological projections that I follow for the late summer into the fall was like, it's ready. You're ready. Let's do this. So I signed a lease. I took my business that I had already established forward in the direction of what do you need to do to start a private practice. And I just started checking all of the boxes. And within about a month, I was seeing my own clients in my own space, in my own private practice. And I took a little bit of transitional time to sort of close the chapter of the employer that I had worked with previously. And all of the anxieties that I had about the complexities and barriers that might come up with that really ended up not being a thing. So I ended up making the transition with way more support than I thought I was going to have. And now I have arrived. And then I'm entering my third week of being fully self-employed in my own therapy private practice. And it feels many different complicated things, but I have done it, and for the most part just really feel trusting in the universe. And that's like really encompassing the healing journey that I've been on, is trusting the energy that already is here, and also trusting my connection to it and being able to read into it and align my energy to the energy that's already here.
It's so amazing to see this spark that has come from you acknowledging and seeing and feeling into how powerful of a being you are. And then following that and allowing the universe to just continue to be like, and he has another answer that you've asked, and he has another answer. Like, you don't need to know the how, but you just continued to take action. And that action led you to a full-time private practice way before you could have ever even imagined it to happen. And just like the trust that is woven through that whole story. And now to still be in this place of trust when it's being in this like new space. It's like liminal and being like touching it, and it's tangible, and you're feeling into like, how is it in my body? And this, like all the feelings that come up with it. And I would love to hear more about your relationship with trust and how you've established that inside of yourself and continue to touch back into it as things do come up and you're navigating all of the newness.
Couple of things coming up for me. We'll see how well my ADHD brain will allow me to stay on this track. But I first remember sort of really building a relationship with trust around my late teens and early 20s. Things happened in my life, things outside of my control that really sort of disrupted, I would name as some of the big T traumas in my life. And even before they happened, I had established this relationship with a dandelion, the symbolism, the image of a dandelion, and just the perspective that you get to sort of choose. Are you perceiving this dandelion as like a disruptive weed, like that's just antagonizing you? Or do you perceive it as, a sign of hope, a sign of joy, a sign of return and life? And that it's all about perspective. So, I had already sort of this like, oh, I like, this perspective of life. Then some stuff happened to me in my life. And on the other end of that was like, well, actually, all of these hard things that happened to me and happened to the people that I love, um, made us stronger in some ways, made us become more of who we are. So I had already been on this path of developing a trusting relationship with something greater, something bigger, something divine, regardless of the different ways that I've tried to name what that is. Um, and ended up when I was 22 getting a tattoo of a dandelion on my shoulder as a reminder to myself of this sort of life philosophy that um, things happen and we sort of get to choose how we take it and grow from it. Fast forward to maybe the last couple of years as I've really sunk deeper into my curiosity about astrology, which I think also has always been there. But in the last couple of years, as I've gotten more curious and done more studying, not just on astrology, but also how astrology and intertwines with the phases of the moon, specifically new moons and full moons, has gotten me to understand and really see how interwoven and connected things are. To deepen this narrative, when I very first started as a therapist in 2018, I would notice how me and maybe 3 or 4 of my other clients would all be sort of navigating similar themes in our personal lives, totally separate from one another. But because I'm sitting in the therapist chair and I'm hearing stories of people orbiting around me going through, I was like, what, there's something to this. And through discussion of like, they always talk about in hospitals and stuff, like emergency rooms go cuckoo bananas around a full moon, and it's like, what, there's something here. So I think that's around the time that I really started to marry the idea of therapy and healing with the phases of the moon, specifically the full moon at the time. So for myself, I started to just pay attention to when the full moon was happening and take that as an opportunity to do some self-reflection, and learn to understand some obviously centuries long existing rituals and routines that people have to release kind of what might be holding you back or barriers, like what's that called? Your beliefs, limiting beliefs about yourself and about the world that might be holding you back from what your intentions are. Yeah. And then in the last couple of years have chosen to take what was working for me and helping me to feel really grounded and just integrated into the energies that are already going on with these bigger celestial bodies and share that with other people. And I continue to observe how often when I'm studying what's going on with the moon, when I'm studying what's going on with the current astrology, that it's almost always there's something in my life that I can directly relate it to. And I'm hearing so many stories from other people about how they're finding it useful in their own healing journeys as well. So when it comes back to this question of, my relationship to trust, the astrology has shown me over and over again just how real it is and how useful it can be as a tool to sort of align our energy with the energy that's already there.
I am one of those people who have found great benefit from your moon newsletter and do really see how this golden thread has been woven through your gifts and your curiosities to then be a gift to me and to other people in your community of this succinct letter that I get to read through and experience. Oh yeah, like that does make a lot of sense. These themes that are happening. And I, with the notion of changing perspective being a huge aspect of and intertwined with trust is so pivotal when we're able to shift our perspective into how is this serving me, or how can I see this differently, of maybe this pivot is not what I wanted, but I'm going to follow it because it has an answer for me, and trusting in that process. Perspective really makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you bringing that into the space. And it makes me want to pivot towards, with the shifts of perspective, also how your worldview has shifted along the way of things around trust and being on this journey of the golden thread unweaving for you, and how that's changed in your life.
What's coming up for me right now with this is in my own therapy journey. So I'm a therapist. I have a therapist, and worldview. Yes, I think often, or what feels grounding to me often is to actually shift my perspective to collective consciousness. And specifically, sort of my grounding ritual is to touch my heart and touch my belly and say the words to myself: I make peace with myself, or I have peace with myself. Basically, anything within the skin, it is what it is, and I accept it and I have peace with it. And then to shift perspective outward to the confines of the Earth's atmosphere, and I say, I make peace with the earth, or I have peace with the earth, and I just sort of radically accept what is on the planet, and also my connection to all of that, sort of that we're all, every heartbeat, every living being and non-living being, like, is all just atoms and energy and molecules and organisms, and like we're all connected. And then beyond that, the cosmos, the moon, the planets, the stars, and beyond. And I make peace with the cosmos and the unknown and the unknowable. And it kind of just helps me, on my own healing journey. I would for sure say that my relationship to control and my attachment to control often is what brings me the most anxiety. So I'm constantly on this journey of balancing, being a powerful manifester while also letting go of control. It's a tough place to be. And, I can hear my own therapist's voice, saying like, you don't get to choose, just let it roll, let it ride, like just be present. And accept that everything is happening as exactly as it's supposed to. And worldview, I think about, everything that's happening in the world, everything that's happening in my life as part of a bigger story, a greater, grander narrative. And things that are happening and will happen are meant to be exactly as they are supposed to, or as the planet and the cosmos need them to. Yeah.
There's a lot of trust in everything you just said too. Which I adore the practice of making peace with yourself and these different layers of expansion that you go through in that as well, because we are all one, and this interconnected whole that we are a part of, like the harmonious strings of plucking the peace inside of you creates peace in other areas of this planet and universe and greatness that we're all a part of. And there's something of really potent of recognizing the greater collective consciousness and knowing you're a part of that, and being able to zoom out big enough to see our little pinhole in the greater collective, and like being in that fertile void of the universal expansion of knowing that we co-create with the universe. And it's cool to hear some of your practices of what you do for your own self, of tuning into body and collective, and how you bring peace around that.
Right. And a lot of it is like, again, coming back to my relationship and attachment to control, release and letting go. And I think this is part of why a full moon in particular has been so advantageous for me in my healing journey, to at least every 4 weeks sort of check in and be like, what things do I need to just let go of? And just be like, I just let it be. I let it happen. I let it not happen. Like whatever it's going to do. And how, like, that just makes me feel lighter and truly just more in the flow, like rather than just being sort of stuck in my spot and not moving from it. It just feels so much better to let myself float in the what is, and constantly navigating that balance of there are some places where you do sort of have to stick in your flag and be like, this is this, and it's not going to change. But then there's other moments where you have to be like, well, that's just not my choice, and I have to accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Release and let go.
Mm-hmm.
I surrendering to the flow. You have helped teach me of being in touch with the moon cycle and understanding the moon cycle better and how those energies are affecting me constantly throughout the 28 days. And it's made my life being more in flow, being able to like, all right, full moon, let's do this shit.
Yes.
Like, I'm uncomfortable, but illuminate me.
Yes.
That's been such a gift. And I am so grateful for the way that your interest has also sparked new healing and growth inside of myself because of that. And with this notion of control, I wonder how boundaries play into that, and would be curious to hear of how you've integrated boundaries into your own life for yourself and the relationships around you.
Such a good question. I mean, what comes up for me immediately is, I think like, for example, in the last week or so, felt energetically sort of this sense of resistance. And that, specifically, so I have a husband and I have two children, and just like the energy of the home, specifically with the kids, has been a little bit like, just go, go, go. We never really sort of pause. And I really felt myself being at odds with it, while at the same time recognizing that I'm part of why it is that way. Like my lack of groundedness and feeling rushed, stressed in the last couple of weeks, I think has made a clear impact for sure on the energy in my home. So yesterday, recognizing that for the first time in a couple of weeks, there was a large chunk of time on my calendar where there was nothing already set in there, and that was also going to be the last time that happened for another couple of weeks. And I was like, as much as there is a part of me that has 999 things that it wants to get done today in that time, I'm choosing to have a boundary with that part of myself and say, what we really need to be doing today is being present with our family and being present in the home. And that is just what our souls need right now, is some connection in our little world. So that's one thing that comes up when I think about boundaries, is kind of having to put some boundaries around those parts of myself that really are addicted to cortisol and stress, and the belief that the way to solve that is just to do. But what I'm learning and have learned and still in the process of accepting is it just never ends. You just never come to the end of that list of things to do. So having that boundary with that part of myself to say, yes, or we can do it tomorrow or the next day, or we don't ever have to do it at all, and we're still going to be fine. Yes. So
that's huge. And giving space for that connection, then like it almost feels like a breath of fresh air, giving yourself that space for the boundary to come in of like, all right, part, I hear you. And like, we are safe to also pivot and not do it the way that you need today. And so I love to ask around parts of which parts of yourself have you gotten to reclaim along the way. And it sounds like even being able to have a relationship with this part of like, I'm gonna place a boundary here. That's huge.
Yes, it is the part of me that I think has just had a real moment because in the last maybe 3 months, I needed that part. That part really came alive again, to do all of the tasks that need to happen to get me to where I am now. And now that I'm here, I sort of am having to pull back the reins on that part of me, like, thank you, gratitude for you. And now we're here. And this actually is having too much of this sort of cortisol addiction of my past rear its ugly head in ways that I'm able to see now from a more whole healed version, to say like, oh, this is familiar, but it's actually not who we are anymore. And you have a time and a place that we can really appreciate you and benefit from just the tenacity. And the one way that it came up, I think this was in a therapy session a few months ago, as I'm thinking about my allies or my spirit team or whatever you kind of want to use that for. So I sometimes imagine myself, there's like the tarot card that's sort of like a goddess figure, like sitting on a throne. And I see this cheetah figure next to me that always has the ability to at any moment just like go 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 and get something done and be on the offense to move charge towards something. But the sort of divine feminine, this more balanced version of myself has this cheetah well trained to be like, no, stay here, stay right here. We're gonna wait for just the right moment. Right now I need you to just chill, just be right here. And so yeah, in the last 3 months, that cheetah has very much been like, we have to get this done and this done and this done and this done, and then we can rest. And now I think the cheetah is sort of like, what's next, what's next, what's next? And I'm like, actually, it's time for you to just come sit again for a little while. We need to sort of like do a little bit more receiving and listening and attuning and just like discerning what's next before we charge forward with whatever that's going to be. Yeah.
I love the visual of the cheetah and how powerful that being is, and getting to, like, once we see it and can embody it, then we become it. And so the embodiment of cheetah and knowing when to go and when to pause is such a powerful medicine that, as you're talking about it, I feel it embodied inside of you. And yeah, it's gotten you to where you are now of like, you fucking opened a private practice. Like, that's huge. And like all of the magic that has gotten to be woven through that because Cheetah's been online, and now getting to say like, all right, let's cuddle for a minute and just like slow down and be in the receiving of all of these seeds we've planted and the action that we've taken to bring us here. And yeah, it makes me want to hear about your victories and successes, and whether that's specifically around private practice or just on the greater scale of things that we can celebrate around that with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think this also speaks to a part of me that has always, I think, felt uncomfortable with sitting in the success. I'm thinking about, I already was aware of this pattern when I graduated from graduate school, that I remembered trying, having an intention to be intentional about, taking a pause to just reflect on what I had just achieved and what I had just completed, and that it was hard, and yet I did it. And there's this phenomenon that I'm noticing, and this is, I would say, sort of maybe not necessarily a niche that I intentionally am gathering in my client, my ideal client caseload, but it just happens to be the population that is very saturated in my caseload right now. But sort of this idea that like the bar just keeps getting higher. We never really just stop and say like, I did it, I'm there. We are like, okay, yeah, that's done now. Big whoop. What's next? And we just charge right ahead. And there's for sure a part of me that is in that space right now where I'm like, yeah, I just did this and now I'm here. But there's still more things on my to-do list. And like, I guess there's the thing that's coming up for me right now is sort of this therapeutic technique that can be applied to a few different sort of life stages. For example, I have a client going through a major transition that will involve some big decisions soon. Yet the timing is sort of ambiguous and up for interpretation. So the clinical recommendation for that particular journey is to write your future self a letter that says, when this happens, you will know that it's time to make that decision. And I think I could apply a similar thing to like, how will I know that I have fully arrived in this thing that I have manifested? And because I didn't previously set up, like, I will know I'm there when I get to this, point, then it still just doesn't ever feel finished. So, yeah, remind me what question I'm answering right now so I can come circle back to it.
Victories. And
yes.
Yeah. What do those moments mean to you? And yeah, how the successes feel inside of you.
I think this is coming to a point where I'm recognizing there's a not yet fully healed version of myself. There is a wound here that makes it difficult to ever fully arrive at a victory. And I'm still being in a point of curiosity and exploring and reflecting on, how to heal from that wound. Where's this coming from? Of like, I'm not really ever there. There's just always more that I could be doing better, that I can be doing more of.
I feel like there's so much societal teaching in that of the society teaches us to constantly be chasing something more rather, like if you stop and celebrate, like, but there's so much beauty in celebrating what we've accomplished, even if that's like waking up in the morning and putting on your socks and shoes, it's like, today I got out of bed and I'm going to celebrate that. And there's like the arriving, as you've talked about, it's like the to-do list is never going to fully end. Like there's always more to do. And even if that's like cooking dinner tonight, because like we're human and we're living life, that there's like a perpetuating of tasks, but giving space to reclaim a victory. And like, you just fucking opened a private practice. Like that's a victory. And like even the small steps along the way. And when we stop to celebrate those, even if it's like patting ourselves on the back or giving ourselves a little self-hug in the process, it also affirms for the universe of like, I'm noticing that we're working together in this, and like, I'm ready for more. But I'm also going to settle into, look what I just fucking did. Because I showed up, and showing up is often the hardest part. Because once you start to show up and take action, then the answers continue to unfold. And I continue to see that in you. And it's cool to also watch you notice that there's a reclaimed part of yourself that needs to be worked with around celebrating in victory. And also like, I want to celebrate you because you have like, you could just continue to show up and do it and be.
I feel like a couple of things coming up for me. Like when I arrived into your space this morning, you offered me a coffee, and that felt as like a micro celebration because I had just finished a workout and like been like, oh, this half cup of coffee is just exactly what I need right now to sort of like demarcate that I am transitioning out of, and I think this could be, I'm thinking of ways now that I could implement micro celebrations and micro practices that even, my 3 times a week workout, after every single one, to pause and give myself a hug and be like, you just did that, right? Because there was a moment an hour and a half ago where I was getting ready to do that and I was feeling a way about it. And I was like, we're going to go do this thing. And now I just did it. So like, let's take a minute and just let that be. And it doesn't have to be long. Like I could set a timer for 60 seconds, be like 60-second self-hug. We're just going to sit with the present moment of what just happened and let it just be still in celebrating that. I'm also thinking about, I think this is, there's the combo of ADHD and anxiety. That is the clinical way to think about this, but the spiritual way to think about this is just being sort of more futuristic and intuitive. As I'm circling back to, when will I pause to celebrate that I have just established this private practice? It's because there's a picture in my mind of exactly what the space is going to look like, and a couple of little, finishing touches that I'm putting on the space. This week, hopefully tomorrow, maybe I can arrive there. But I sort of feel like, well, I'm not there until this happens, because I have this very specific picture in my head of what it looks like. And there's still a couple of tasks left to complete for me to get there. So I'm promising you right now, ABSD, that when that happens, I'm going to take a picture of the space and I'm going to text you and I'm going to say, I'm sitting in celebration right here in this moment.
Yes, that's amazing. I love that intention. And if you couldn't feel it listening, we were definitely self-hugging ourselves. And I encourage you to self-hug yourself right now. I'm just like celebrating wherever you are in this moment. And like, there is so much heaviness in the world. And if we lose celebration, if we lose the joy, they win. And like, joy and celebration is a way of activism and being able to just say like, yes, body, thank you. Thank you for showing up with me and working out this morning. Thank you for waking up and opening your hands up to the sky and illuminating the
Yes.
world. Whatever it is, of
Yeah.
just tuning in,
Mm-hmm.
it creates a ripple that we can't
Yeah.
really see the full effect of, but the
Mm-hmm.
universe takes note.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
yeah, I just am excited for you
Yeah.
to play with that a little bit
Yes.
and like see where the
Mm-hmm.
where the connections go from that place.
It also feels like resistance in a
Yes.
world, you know, in a post-capitalistic world that wants you to constantly be in this state of running and burnout. It is an act of resistance to pause and say, actually, where I am right now is good enough. And I get to choose whether or not I'm going to continue to chase whatever that is.
I see that as strength.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to hear how your definition of strength has changed over time.
Such a lovely question. Yeah. I mean, what's coming up for me recently is continuing to choose to stay, because I think there are, you know, very specific points and moments where in my threat response system, there is a part of me that wants to flee and go away and start over somewhere else and not continue to do the work of this life that I, you know, a past version of myself really worked really hard to get to exactly where I am right now. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes my present self is like, oh, this is hard. This is hard though. So I think strength actually is being able to manage and navigate the human nervous system, and to be able to feel like you have awareness of what is the present state of your nervous system, and to know that at any given moment you have the strength and the power to, I'm not going to say control, but to manage, to shift, to adjust the state of your nervous system. Because again, coming back to just the state of the world, it is an act of resistance to have stillness and peace in a system that is trying to just keep you scared and in a state of fear and in a state of burnout and overwhelm.
Being able to find the nervous system regulation and the groundedness in that, like the somatics of touching into what our body is saying that we need. And someone taught me like the tool of the double breath in, like a quick breath of a and that tells your body you're okay. And that immediate like, I don't know. There's some science about the double and it's not coming to my mind right now. Or even like going and putting your feet on the earth or hugging a tree, reminding ourselves that we are interconnected with all of these other beings. And because like the point right now is for us to be in this fear state so that we're not taking action. And I would love to hear of what your relationship with fear is like.
Oh, for sure. And I think part of, you know, we had a conversation right before we hit record on this where I'm setting the intention to try to stay very much on the sort of Caitlin with the C healing journey, and how the business of that is sort of reflected in the healing journey. But there are many parts of me that very much just are constantly in this state of, I need to process what's going on in the world right now. And fear is there. Fear is here. Anxiety is here with it just being the fall of 2025 and what that means for me, for my family, for my community. So my relationship to fear, I think one sort of phrase or what feels like truth to me that comes to mind is like the opposite of fear is love. And I think bravery can come from a space of love. So as I'm thinking about choices or how do I react or respond to, you know, any of the, you know, 1,000 different things that are making me feel anxious and scared right now, to choose any processing or decision making or thinking about my choices from a place of love first love for myself that can radiate out from me in sort of a spiral direction of um, any choice that I choose to make in response to what's making me anxious is a choice that I'm making out of love and not from fear. So I'm sort of alchemizing, I guess, the fear and turning it into love. And like, ooh, because I love myself, I'm making a contingency plan. Because I love my family, I'm working with my partner to make a plan, a couple of different plans together on what might we do if X, Y, and Z happens. And that is because we love ourselves and we love each other. I think one point where it's feeling the most complicated and grief emotions come up is when I think about my community. Because I love my community, that's I think where I'm still having a lot of ambivalence in the way of just indecisiveness, because it's so hard to be in a space where part of me feels very comfortable and very excited about the possibility of, you know, uprooting my little family and repotting somewhere else that feels safer right now, and the parts of me that feel so much grief and anguish and anger to know that that would feel a little bit like abandoning a community that I've come to feel so I don't know, entwined with, and part of it's part of me just as much as I am a part of it. So yeah.
And holding both of those things with that lens of love, of knowing that whatever decision you make is from that energy, and love is so potent. When we live from a place of love, like truly mountains move and rivers change course. And like the beautiful thing is that just as community is a part of you and you are a part of it, like those pieces get to go with you wherever you are and always get to be returned back to. And no matter what decision is made, of the safety that feels most aligned for you and the people in your world. And we are coming close to the end of our time. And so I want to ask my final question that I love to end this space with, of what wisdom and insights do you carry now that you didn't before?
Before when, maybe, is the question. I think maybe in the last year, since the last time I was on the pod, trust in, like, just more empowerment and trust in myself, really being able to stand on both of my feet and know that I'm okay and I'm going to continue to be okay no matter what, because I am a powerful manifester and I'm a smart cookie and I can figure stuff out.
Hell yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you are. Do you as we close out our space today, I would love to give you an opportunity to share anything else that wants to come out before we close out and say goodbye.
Yeah. The thing that's, you know, feeling channeled right now is astrology. And I know that for myself and so many people that I have had the privilege of having conversation with in the last couple of years, and just more and more and more so, there's really something to it. So if I would encourage listeners, if you ever have had any curiosity about astrology or the cycles of the moon, and like, why is it that things happen around a full moon? Like, allow yourself to lean into that curiosity, and maybe not even just with astrology, but just to trust your own intuition and curiosities, and wherever you feel the energy flowing, trust that and lean into it, because it will take you on journeys that you could not have come up with yourself.
Yeah. The magic of co-creation.
Yes.
Oh, it's such a gift. And it's been such a privilege and an honor to have you in this space and to get to hear your story, and to also just have you in my life and be in community and village with you. It's such an honor.
1000% likewise. Yes.
I love you so much.
I love you.
And with that, we're going to close out this space. For all of those listening, I hope you took some curiosity and some nuggets of wisdom that are going to grow beautiful seeds inside of your own life, and go out and love loudly. The world needs you as your authentic and beautiful self, the gifts that you have to carry with your unique thumbprint. I love you. Be well. Till next time. Bye.